the front has a bigger dart, and we have to be mindful of the width of the dart. Of course, it's still easy a bit to be able to maneuver our way around the shoulder dart on the back pattern, because it's very, very small, just about half an inch. But here I have more than 4 inches, 4.25 inches as my shoulder dart. You can imagine that. So this is a big dart, or a wide dart, I mean. So it has to be well managed. All right. Now here, this is my true bust line. You can see my true bust line. And this is where the nipple point is. And this point is my point X. Point X is the highest point on the bust. You know, it's called the nipple point. My bust line divided by 2, you know, is what I have here as my point X, and that is where my shoulder, you know, starts from. Can you see my shoulder dart? I mean, starts from. Okay, because usually the shoulder dart must be about 1/4 of an inch above the true bust line, but because I would like to transfer the dart to another place, then I need to bring it down to the point X, which is the nipple point. Okay, so I still want to maintain my balanced pattern. My waistline must match up with the back waistline. My hip line must match up in all other things. But the upper part has to be well managed. Okay, the upper part has the shoulder dart. So what I'm going to do right now is to just get a point on the armhole. Okay, the lower part of it. Just pick a point, and from that point, I'll use my ruler to connect the point to my point X. Just pick a point, then connect this point to this point X. The next thing I'm going to do right now, I'll slash this point. So from here, I'll slash here to this point X. And this line as well, you are going to open up, just cut it open or slash it to this point. Okay? This line, I'll push it to align with this slash line. I hope you understand that. I'll cover up the darts completely. Can you see? And with my tape, I'm going to just tape it down. Okay? I have successfully transferred my shoulder dart to my armhole. Okay? So I can try to like ignore these darts as if it does not exist. Okay? And just continue with my pattern. I had already trimmed every part that I don't need. So look at the pattern. This is the pattern, the real pattern. This is what I'll be working with. And look at my darts. Can you see? This dart was cutting from here, so I only transfer. Of course, you already know that. Okay, so next is to extend my shoulder line. Okay, so, and this also depends on the length that you desire. Okay, so for example, I want the length to be about 12 inches. Yes, 12 inches. So I'll just extend it by 12 inches or even longer if that is what you desire. Okay, so I'll do that right now, like this, and extend it as long as you would want to. Okay. Right. So this is my 12 inches. This line is my true bust line, and from this true bust line, I will go down by probably like 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches, you can do even 3 inches. So this depends on you. You can even go as low as, you know, the waistline. So this is optional actually. So of course it's a loose kind of blouse or top. So it doesn't really need to be that fitted and all of that. So from this true line, true bust line, I'll come down by 1.5. Okay. So, and I'll just connect like this. I'll just curve it like this. Then you measure from here to this point to know if it will be okay for you. Okay, so you have to measure your round sleeve. Okay, this 12 inches is almost to my elbow. So I'll just measure where I know this line will get to on my arm. okay, and measure the round, the circumference of it, so that the circumference must be divided by 2 to have what you will insert here, okay? So in my case, I have about 13 inches, okay? So I'll just, let me just measure what I have. So this is, imagine, this is 6.5, okay? I need to make it like 7 inches. I'll make it 7. Okay, so just connect it. So can you see what I have? And like I said, you can bring it down and make it have this kind of effect. Can you see? Just curve it like this. Okay, instead of starting from here, this might be a bit sharp. So, and I feel that this is okay. All right, so, and I can connect. Now, you can make it straight. You can make it straight like this and say, okay, this is how I want it. You can bend it like this. And you can even use in fact, using the set square is the best. Okay, if you want to bend it, just position this line, on this line I mean. Okay, so, and so that the line can just come like this. I hope you understand. You see where it is. So you can make it look this way. Okay, this is about 7.5. So you can make it look this way. Can you see? Like this. And you can make it like this. Just connect this way. And you can even make it straight and say, this is how I want it to look. Can you see? So you can choose any one that you want. Any one is fine. This is what I have. Very lovely. Now you can use this pattern for both front and back. Yes. The only thing you would do is to alter the neck a bit. That is to fit for the back. Okay. So now to use this pattern for the back, I will just go in by 1 inch. Let me go in by 1 inch more. Okay. So, and here I have about, I'll go in by ½ inch more. So here, ½ inch more. So you can use whatever neck you want. You can even put buttons here. Anyhow you want it, fine. For the back, I will go up by 3 inches from this new neckline. The idea is just to make sure the back is wide enough to contain my head. Okay, instead of 3 inches, let me go down. Let me start from 2 or maybe 2.5. Okay, so that means the depth on my neckline for the back is 2 inches. So I'll just connect from this one to meet this. What I also want to say is that you can as well extend the waistline, because the waistline already has dart. Okay, it already has a dart, and I know the dart is bigger. The front is wider than the back pattern. Okay, and the waist dart already on this is also wider than the one on the back. So if you want more space, you can as well add more allowances on it. I hope you understand. So for example, you can extend this line and decide to make it look this way. Extend it like this. So even most times when you don't even know what to do, when you don't really know what to do, just imagine something and create something. In fact, your pattern, if it's well drafted, will work for you. It will just dance to your tone. That's just it. So you don't have to really follow a particular, style or method of doing things when it comes to creating, okay, or being creative. So can you see what I've done? So, and what I'm planning to also do, because this pattern is wide and I'm making it, I'm using 2. So I want to smoke this side a bit. So I can smoke this side a bit, okay, and like that. So let me just do it this way. Can you see what I have? And this also depends on your fabric. The quantity of your fabric is also important. Okay, so let's do it this way. So let me go down by 4 inches more, or like 5 inches more. I just hope my fabric will really do justice to this. I'm going to add ½ inch allowance from here down, ½ inch, or instead of using it, let me just increase it a bit. Let me increase it a bit by 3/4 inch. Can you see? From this point, I measured here, from here, 5 inches. From this point, 5 inches, and I ruled a straight line. So from here, from here is the same, okay? Because this side is a bit, out, I'll just go up by 1.5 inches. From this point, I'll go up by 1.5 inches and mark, okay? So I just want to make this more round. So this is what I have, okay? So right now I am going to indicate where I want my smoking to start. I'll do that on the pattern so that I can mark it out on my fabric. So this is, I have added ½ inch seam allowance to the side and to the hemline, to the sleeve part as well, to the top of the shoulder, or top of the sleeve here. And for the neckline, I added 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay, on the neckline, because I'm going to be using a bias tape to, finish the neckline. All right, so now I did something here. This is my waistline, and I measured 2.5 inches from here, from the waistline upward, and rule the line 2.5 inches downward, okay, 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to be doing, I will cut this separately and smoke it. So after smoking, then I can now join to the upper part and join to the down part. Now, if you can do it like that without cutting it, maybe after cutting your fabric, you open it up and you mark the lines and smoke it, fine. But for me, I just want to do it this way so that at least I'll be able to, control some things. By the time, at times when you're sewing, you may be like confused or whatever. So just to avoid that anyway. So, but if you can do it without using this method, beautiful. Okay, so I'll be having a joining here and a joining here, but I'll smoke this part. All right, so this part is going to be cut on fold because this is going to be the center front / center back. So now, before I cut, of course, I will be cutting the back pattern first. The back pattern has the higher neck, okay, while the front neckline is low. So the first thing I will be doing now is to cut the back, okay, and once I finish cutting the back, I will use the back pattern to cut the fabric. So once I'm done cutting the fabric using the back pattern, then I can now remove the back neckline, and of course I'll be left with the front neckline. Then I can now use the front, I can now cut the front using this pattern. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's just to avoid issues, and to, of course, because the reason why it's like this is because I'm using one pattern for both front and back. Okay, and when you're cutting on fabric, make sure you add seam allowance to this part because you're going to use it. You're going to join it back, so it will require seam allowance, okay, to be able to join it back to the other part. I had already used this same pattern to cut one side. Okay, that's the back, and look at it. So now I want to cut the front, and I need to trim out the back part of the pattern. Okay, but before I do that, I want to include my 1/4 inch seam allowance on the neckline of the front. So I'll just go up from here upward by 1/4 inch. Here I have the back part. Can you see? Can you see the difference? So my front and back is ready. Now it's time to sew. I am getting my elastic thread ready for my sewing machine, and this is the best way to go about this. Do it manually. Don't use the fastest method. Okay, get your elastic thread around your bobbin, and you're good to go. Okay, so here the elastic thread is not, going through, and I needed to loosen it a bit. So can you see now that the elastic thread can easily go through? So right now my elastic thread is ready, and here I am stitching, smoking my fabric, the middle piece. I have 2 smoked fabric pieces already, and with the sewing allowance intact. Okay, now the sewing allowance is being attached to the lower piece. And next is to join it to the upper piece, and as you are joining, you are dragging, because the smoked part is already stretchy due to the elastic on it. Okay, so you need to drag as you sew, so that it can cover up the entire line. Okay, the entire fabric piece. So here the neck has been finished with a bias tape. I said that earlier. The front and back necklines have been successfully finished with bias tapes, and right now I am pinning the shoulders and pinning the side. Okay, so do this and join all the pieces together. 3 fabric pieces make one front, and 3 fabric pieces make the back. Okay, so, and yeah, I need to say that I stitched, or probably took, a dart of 1/2 inch. The width of the dart is 1/2 inch. This was taken on the front neckline. Okay, and the length is about 2.5 inches. Okay, and the idea is to make the neckline firmer. Okay, and the reason I did this, it's optional actually. The reason I did is I just felt that because I used the front pattern for both front and back, there could be a kind of gaping on the neckline. To avoid this, I needed to take a dart of 1/2 inch. Okay, so this I did off camera actually. So this is the finished look. I hope it's beautiful. The fitting is also perfect. Lovely. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye.